Hey, how's my favorite sickie? Feeling sick? Well, touche. Dude, I'm sorry that you're not feeling good. Hey, you said you were bored, so, I brought you, drumroll please, some books. Well, what else would the book nerd bring but books? They are amazing. And plus, I actually think you'd like them. So, I brought three possibilities, and they are in a fiction, a nonfiction, and a poetry. All three genres. What? You should be impressed. um, but no, man, that's some good shit. So the first one is nonfiction, and it's kind of in the vein of like David Sedaris, sort of like funny personal essays. It's a collection of essays. This is by Sloane Crosley, and it's called I Was Told There'd Be Cake, which P.S. is an amazing title, right? I love that. So there's just, I don't know, she just writes about a lot of different stuff, but one of my favorite essays she writes is called The Pony Problem. Yeah, it's basically about how she worries that if she like unexpectedly dies and her parents will have to clean out her apartment, what the things that they'd be most embarrassed for them to find would be this drawer full of little pony figurines. And she goes on to say that it's because basically of what she like, well, here she says, I'm not exactly sure how the ponies happened, though I have an inkling. Can I get you anything? I'll say, getting up from a dinner table. Coffee, tea, a pony. People rarely laugh at this, especially if they've heard it before. This party's supposed to be fun, a friend will say. Really? I'll respond. Will there be pony rides? It's a nervous tick and a cheap joke, cheapened further by the frequency with which I use it. For that same reason, it's hard to weed out of my speech. Most of the time, I don't even realize I'm saying it. There are little elements in a person's life, minor fibers that become unintentionally tangled with our personality. Sometimes it's a patent phrase, sometimes it's a perfume, sometimes it's a wristwatch. For me, it's the constant referencing of ponies. And she goes on to say how often, so she's kind of, because of this, people often give her ponies, you know, because she's often talking about them as like a joke, and she doesn't have the heart to tell them that everyone gives her ponies. And especially like people she dates. In fact, it says, and thus the pony drawer came to be. It's uncomfortable to admit, but almost every guy I've ever dated has unwittingly made a contribution to the stable. And she goes on to say, like, she doesn't know what to do with them. She feels kind of guilty about getting rid of them, but she also feels ridiculous having all of them. And so it's kind of her trying to figure out what to do with them. And it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of fun. So that's that one. The second book, ooh, hardback, is The Magician's Elephant by Kate. I think it's DeMillo, but it might be DeMaio. It's actually like a YA children's book, but I really liked it. I find it's really hopeful without being patronizing. Does that make any sense? Well, here, let me read the description. So here's the basic premise. When a fortune teller's tent appears in the market square of the city of Baltise, orphan Peter Augustus Dufresne knows the questions he needs to ask. Does his sister still live? And if so, how can he find her? The fortune teller's mysterious answer, an elephant will lead him there, sets off a chain of events so remarkable that they can hardly believe it. But all of it is true. And so, I don't know, I really liked that this book, like all these magic things happen, but it comes from a place of, like, sadness, and especially with kids' books, like, you don't usually have a lot of really, like, deep characters, but, you know, he's, like, this orphan, and he's, you know, has legitimate sadness in his life, and a lot of the other characters do too, and this idea of this hope that, you know, his sister maybe is alive and out there in the world somewhere. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of like that whole, like, it's hopeful without being hitting you over the head with rainbows, you know? Like, I don't know, like, at one point he says, let's see, let's look through the pages. Yeah, I know, I should have. Oh, God. Well, basically, he just says, you know, that it's just really scary to hope. But at the same time, there's a part where another character, when they're kind of questioning if it's possible that this elephant could actually bring about change. Which, by the way, like, a magician, like, magicked up this elephant randomly. Yeah. Anyway, this character says, how will the world change if we don't question it? I don't know. It's just a really groovy book, and it made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Yeah. So that's a good sick book, you know, you're feeling down. And lastly, we have poetry. No, don't groan. No, seriously, poetry can be fucking amazing. Like, it doesn't have to be like what you studied in high school about, like, 17th century English poets, although there are some good ones of those, but no. So this is like a modern, like, within the last 5 years, poetry collection by this chick, Kim Adenizio, who, P.S., is, like, referred to as, like, the rock star of the poetry world. Shut up. No, that's a real thing. Don't laugh. Anyway, the poems, the book, the collection's called What Is This Thing Called Love? And it's, I don't know, kind of edgy. Like, she talks a lot about sex and death, and just sort of life in general. In fact, she even has a poem that's called Fuck. Right? Here's, I don't know, here's the beginning of it. There are people who will tell you that using the word fuck in a poem indicates a serious lapse of taste or imagination, or both. It's vulgar, indecorous, an obscenity that crashes down like an anvil falling through a skylight to land on a restaurant table. On the white linen, the cut glass vase of lilacs. But if you were sitting over coffee when the metal hit your saucer like a missile, wouldn't that be the first thing you'd say? Wouldn't you leap back shouting, or at least thinking it, over and over, bell note riotously clanging in the church of your brain? While the solicitous waiter led you away, wouldn't you prop your shaking elbows on the bar and order your first drink in months, telling yourself you were lucky to be alive? And if you wouldn't say anything but mercy, or oh my, or land sakes, well then, I don't want to know you anyway, and I don't give a fuck what you think of my poem. And it goes on from there. But, I actually got to meet her. Yeah. She, did a reading at, the college I went to, and I got to see her, and I totally fangirled. I totally did. I was like, I love you, and sign my book, and I know. So anyway, so you have all these awesome possibilities of good books, and oftentimes. So you want to borrow any of them? Really? You'll try all of them? Oh, see, I like your adventurous spirit. Yeah, so just totally borrow them. Don't mind all of the underlines and dog-eared pages, because that's what I like to do. But yeah, I just thought, I don't know, you said you were getting tired of just, like, watching Netflix and YouTube all day, and so I was like, well, you know, I know you've been sick with this crud for like a week, and I thought I'd give you an alternative. No, it's nothing, man. I always love to share the gift of reading. Yes, I'm a nerd. Okay, well, I will let you get to it, but I hope you feel better, friend. All right.